House of Representatives sets up committee to investigate allegations of terrorism financing in Nigeria by the U.S. aid. A heated exchange between the President of the Senate, Akpabio, and Senator Natasha over seating arrangements sparked a rowdy session in the Senate. And later on the program, I'll sit down with Honorable Ademorin Kuye to get fresh perspective to some matters arising in the Parliament and the country. This is the Hallowed Chambers on TVC News. I am Tijesu Adeoye. The House of Representatives is escalating concerns about allegations made by a U.S. congressman that the U.S. aid is funding terrorist groups like Boko Haram in Nigeria. The Speaker of the House of Representatives announced a 15-member committee that has given the mandate to investigate allegations of terrorism funding in Nigeria. The committee is to meet with heads of security agencies and non-governmental groups to ascertain the veracity of the U.S. congressman's allegation. In a motion of national importance, Gombe member Inua Garba believes if not properly investigated, the allegations could undermine Nigeria's sovereignty.
While these allegations remain unverified, they cast a shadow over a credibility of USAID, an organization that has been claiming to be providing assistance and other humanitarian aid to Nigeria. It is therefore imperative that these claims are thoroughly investigated.
In the Senate, there was a rowdy session caused by the refusal of Senator Natasha, representing Kogi Central, to relinquish her seat and relocate to a new reassigned seat. Her defiance set her up against the President of the Senate and her colleagues in the Red Chamber. After the heated exchange, the Kogi caucus in the Senate profusely apologized to Senator Akpabio and the entire Senate over Senator Natasha's outburst.
In the exercise of the powers conferred on the Senate President to resume her new seat. If not, the Senate President may decide to exercise the powers conferred on him not to allow her to contribute to any debate from that seat, thereby depriving her constituency of a voice. Thank you.
Mr. Chief Whip of the Senate, your point of order is sustained.
Order, please.
Dismiss Senator Natasha, please. You are not recognized to speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, order 10 on privileges. Order 10 on privileges.
Distinguished Senator Natasha.
Any senator may rise at any time
can the
to
Sergeant
speak
at Arms,
upon
please,
a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without notice. A motion declaring that the contempt of breach of privilege has been...
Show me the session that allows suspension immediately.
I want to sincerely apologize on behalf of the Kogi caucus to the Senate President and the entire Senate.
What you have done, you have the power to do it, and you have you did it at the best interest of the Senate. I will want her to at least come out and apologize to us.
I just want to appeal to you that even though you came under this order, let us not go further to go into committee of the whole to just discuss this issue. Let's focus on why we're elected here. The matter will be dealt with at the appropriate time. I thank you so much. And I want to appeal to you to temper justice with mercy.
The Nigerian Senate says it will conduct public hearings regarding the 4 key tax reform bills on the 24th and 25th of February 2025. Chairman of the Senate's Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, announced this development after a closed-door session with various government agencies. The bills include the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Fund Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Services Bill, the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, and Nigerian tax bill. Both houses of the National Assembly have completed the second reading of these bills, thereby opening the door for public engagement. Senator Musa says the legislation aims to align Nigeria with advanced economies by ensuring adequate funding across various sectors.
The President directed that the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, the Chairman Federal Inland Revenue Services, the Chairman of the Presidential Tax Reform Committee should engage with the National Assembly and all other stakeholders to make sure that all the gray areas are being addressed. And I can tell you that we have done the needful. We have had a lot of engagement, even with the ulamas, with some pressure groups, with some professional bodies. We have had.
The Chairman House Committee on National Security and Intelligence in the 9th Assembly, Shaban Sharada, says addressing the global security agenda for Africa requires a concerted and collaborative effort from the international community. Mr. Sharada spoke in his capacity as the Director for African Parliamentarians Engagement of the Parliamentary Intelligence Security Forum and a member of the Forum's Steering Committee. PISF is a global platform which brings together lawmakers, security experts, and policy makers to address critical security and intelligence issues.
Addressing the global security agenda for Africa requires a concerted and collaborative effort for the international community, from the international community. The future security of Africa, and indeed the world, depends on our willingness to engage deeply, listen to African voices, and invest in lasting solutions.
Let's pause for a break at this point, and when we return, I will sit down with Honorable Ademorin Kuye to have a conversation. It's glad to have you back on the Hallowed Chambers, and my guest today is an honorable member of the House of Representatives. His name is Ademorin Kuye, and he is the House of Representative member representing Shomolu Federal Constituency of Lagos State. It's good to have you on the program, Honorable.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm happy to be with you.
Well, we're happy to have you. Well, let's start with the recent autobiography of General Ibrahim Babangida and his admittance that Chief MKO Abiola won the June 12, 1993 presidential election. How significant is this for Nigeria, and how does it bring closure to a matter that has been disputed for more than 3 decades?
Well, it's fair enough that he admitted that Abiola won the election. But what he's not been able to explain to Nigerians is still the fact that why was that election cancelled? Why did they have to stop it? You know, that needs to be explained further, you know, because, I mean, a lot of lives were lost as a result of that singular decision. And a lot of destiny changed, you know, even for the country. And I feel that, I mean, apart from just accepting responsibility for the decision taken, there's equally the need to explain so that we can learn from it, you know, so that such thing does not repeat itself. That's what I feel. So I think the General Babangida has not done enough.
Do you think that his disclosure after 3 decades, is it still relevant? Even when you mentioning the fact that he has not still disclosed the reasons why he annulled that election, I believe that maybe it might be in the content of that book. I've not read it yet. But do you think it's still relevant?
It is very relevant because that election is a watershed of the struggle for emancipation of the democratic principle and the progressive elements in this country. It brought together the progressive elements that are now leading our democratic space, you know. And that history will continue to be part of us for a very long time to come.
Well, successive government failed to recognize MKO Abiola, the winner of the 1993 presidential election, until President Buhari acknowledged him and even bestowed upon him the posthumous national honor. Why do you think it was difficult to admit that MKO Abiola won that election?
This question is better put to them, but for me, I think it's not always easy for generals to admit guilt. But at the end of the day, it's also admitted that many years after, 1993 to 2025, for him to now admit that, yes, this man actually won the election is a big relief, but it doesn't heal the wound totally.
And do you think that it came from a place of, although he says that he regrets it, but do you think that because he's drawing closer, you know, to the other side, he just feels that he should mend some bridge because he knows that that situation hurt people? Do you think that he's just trying to, you know, make amends?
I think it's his own way of seeking forgiveness from Nigerians, you know, for what he did. But I don't know. For some of us, I mean, we have put it behind us, but people continue to ask us questions about how did it go? How did we get to that point? I remember that I was a youth leader, you know, just starting my legal practice then. And we went into politics because of our friendship with the son of the presidential candidate at that time. And then, you know, we sacrificed a lot of things, you know, left our chambers, went into following them to campaign and all of that. And at the end of the day, you thought that, you know, Nigeria was going to have a new beginning of democracy. And all of a sudden, the whole thing just went up there in the air. And, you know, nobody could explain to us what really happened. It was really, really painful.
I understand that the tax reform bills will soon be put up for public hearing. What should the public expect from this?
Well, I think it's now in the domain of the public. The House have done their parts. So we are expecting that, you know, stakeholders will come with proposal, amendments, and what have you. You know, those areas of suspicion, you know, mutual understanding will come in now. You know, people will come with ideas of where they think we need to amend. We'll look at them. If it's necessary, we'll amend. If it is not, we'll move on.
Well, would I understand?
But for me, I think that tax reform is timely, it's necessary, and it's going to help the whole country.
Well, you know, the bills actually faced quite a number of opposition from some lawmakers. Have all those concerns been put to rest?
Inside the chambers, we now have a common understanding that there is need for us to have a tax reform, harmonize the hundreds of tax laws that are in the country. People don't even know, investors don't even know they're in the middle of their business when another tax will come in. Now they know what they have to pay from the word go. And all of us have agreed that there is need for a tax reform. We have equally all agreed that this tax reform is going to be equitable, is fair to all, is going to block loopholes, is going to give better understanding, and is going to add more benefits to investors, to industrialists, to manufacturers, to low-income earners. It benefits everybody. And it's going to bring more money into the Federation account to the extent that our over-reliance on oil will be reduced. And then we can start looking at, you know, other areas of industrializing the country.
All right. The National Assembly just passed the 2025 appropriation bill that is currently awaiting presidential assent. Would you say that lawmakers did a satisfactory job on that, piece of legislation?
In my many years of being in the National Assembly, I think that's about the first time that I saw the energy and the strength of unity between the ruling party and the opposition party in agreeing that we need to quickly pass this budget. And for me, the budget is a bit on the low side.
Okay.
54.2 trillion.
Well, some people say that this is one of the highest budgets in the history of Nigeria's budget. Why do you say is the lowest?
Well, comparatively, let's look at, for example, okay, so if you convert it, because most of these things, you have to look at international trade and all of that. If you convert it at the present official exchange rate, the budget comes to about $33.5 billion. $33.5 billion. Now, the budget of New York as a state, New York State, is about $258 billion. New York City, the capital, the budget is about 112 billion. So what we're saying now is that the totality of our country, a population of over 200, break it down. If you break it down to the number of people in this country, just imagine the amount of money that the health sector will need alone to take care of the health of Nigerians, particularly a country where our people are not too averse to doing health insurance. Consider the number of federal routes, the kilometers of federal routes in this country, rehabilitating, rejuvenating, and building new ones. Consider the amount that they're going to need. Look at our marine economy. Do we have sufficient infrastructures at our ports that will help in easing business activities at those ports? Do we have those modern equipments to help at the ports?
Do you think that this January to December budget cycle that the country tried to, sustain during the time of the 9th Senate would also, become a reality in this 10th Senate?
It will be. The only hiccup we have, when there is a change of governments, a lot of things happens in the handing over and transitioning, So that's what has caused this little hiccup, but I'm sure that we'll return to it.
We'll take this quick commercial break. Now, don't go anywhere.
Thank
There's
you.
more for you after this break.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you back. We're still speaking with an honorable member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Ademorin Kuye, and he represents Shomolu Federal Constituency of Lagos State. Now let's talk about the recent allegations made by the U.S. congressman regarding the U.S. aid's alleged role in financing terrorism, especially in Nigeria, specifically Boko Haram. The House of Representatives has already set up a committee to investigate him. Likewise, the Senate. Were you surprised by this disclosure, and did you have suspicions about this all along?
Well, I'm surprised. Why I'm surprised is because, we're still America is still in the phase of just coming out of an election. Mm-hmm. And the present government, for me, personally, I feel the present government is, trying to buy the confidence, of the people more to trust them. And in doing that, a lot of accusations will be thrown against the past government. So let's wait for, proper investigation to be carried out at that end. Because I listen to a lot of news on the CNN, the Sky News and all of that. And I know that, the country is U.S. is sharply divided along the MAGA line, not Republican now, because even the original Republicans are nowhere in the Republican Party right now, for me. That's my opinion, So, and, a lot of allegations are just being thrown up and down, Matters of security are things that should be treated with caution.
I believe you watched on TV what happened in the Senate yesterday, the face-off between the President of the Senate and Senator Natasha Akpabio, the senator representing Kogi Central, over seating arrangements. This has sparked a debate in various quarters. Is the seating arrangement a big deal? As a lawmaker, from your own viewpoint, is this a big deal? Tell us the procedure as it applies in the National Assembly.
The Constitution empowers the National Assembly to make its own rules. Now, this is my sitting position in your organization here. If I come here and I say that's where I want to sit, that's your seat, and the organization comes to tell me that no, that is the seat provided for our presenter, and you, as our host, you're supposed to sit on this side. If you say no, then they don't cover you. You won't, the management will just stop the program, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So we have our rules. It is within the power and the discretion of the presiding officers to allocate seats to members. It's so that you don't have rowdy sessions in the House, all right? And when you are allocated a seat, that's where you speak from. If you are not on that seat, unless the presiding officer waives that power and allows you to speak from another seat, then you cannot be heard. No matter your grievance, you cannot be heard. What Senator Natasha did yesterday was childish, was unnecessary, was playing to the gallery.
But do you think that this might be some other issue that, brought her to this point? Could there be any other issue that may have sparked this kind of reaction? No matter what.
As a senator representing your people, you cannot be stopped from speaking your mind. It does not mean that the House is going to rule in your favor, but you must be given audience to speak. But that right to speak is premeditated upon you sitting in your rightful position. You cannot stand in the aisle and say because you are elected, you must speak on the aisle. You will not be recognized, no matter your grievance. I think what she should have done was to say, okay, you don't want me to speak from this seat. This is not my seat. I'll go to my seat.
Well, let's round up our conversation. How have your people, the people of Shomolu constituency, felt your impact so far representing them in the House of Representatives?
Well, I think my people should say that. But I can tell you that just recently we just finished distributing free jam forms, which we have been doing for years now, to the indigent students in our community. And, what I do is that we don't stop at just distributing the free jam forms to them. We bring in other students that we have helped to gain admission into university to come and teach them during their free time, and then we pay them stipends. So they equally earn money by doing that. And then after the examination, as they bring in their letter of admission, we pay their first year school fees. So that's what we have just done. Right now, we're putting solar power street lights into so many of our streets now, to reduce the threat of security, to the neighborhood, And we intend to facilitate the building, which we have concluded on, the building of a modern world-class ICT center. That will be probably the second one that we're doing, inside the National Orthopedic Hospital. Because just last year, we had a new school, School of Nursing, built, and then we had the matriculation of new students into that school, School of Nursing, inside the National Orthopedic Hospital, which is inside my constituency.
That is our program this week. We are glad that you could join us. Don't forget to watch a repeat broadcast at 7 a.m. on Sunday. Also subscribe to TVC News YouTube channel and be the first to get the latest